All right, welcome everyone to math today. We're going to be continuing our study of volume. I see that we have 3 participants, so if you could give me an emoji in the chat box, let me know how you're feeling today before we get started with math. That would be awesome. Awesome, Tom. I've got yours. Hopefully Matt and Steven. I see we're having a little bit of connection issues. There's Matt, there's Steven. Awesome. So before class starts today, you should have gotten a link to a shared Google document or shared Google Slides that we're going to be working in. So if you could make sure that you have the Google Slide with today's date open in another tab next to the Collaborate tab, that would be awesome because we're going to be doing the majority of our work in there. If you could actually go to that slide, I'm going to share my screen as well so you can see what I am talking about, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to share my screen. All right, and I'm going to pull up the slideshow presentation. I see everyone's in here, so that's awesome. Today's lesson is entitled, maybe. Today's lesson is entitled Two Formulas for Volume, and our objective, oh my goodness, the objective for today would be that you will be able to explain and apply 2 different formulas for finding the volume of a rectangular prism. Our essential question is, how can we use different strategies to find the volume of rectangular prisms? And the materials you are going to need will be your unit cubes, your math journal, a pencil, a calculator, and a positive attitude, as always. So we're going to look at the first let's review slide, and this is your example slide, so nobody's going to be typing in this slide, but what I'm going to do is give you a volume task, and in order to complete this task you're going to need your small centimeter cubes that we've been using the last few days. So we've moved on from filling containers with beans and pattern blocks to using centimeter cubes, and we said that's because we didn't want any gaps or overlaps when filling the prisms. So what I want you to do, the first task says to build a rectangular prism with a volume of 8. Using your cubes, I would like you to type in the chat box how many cubes would you need to use to build a rectangular prism with a volume of 8. So go ahead back to the chat box and type in there how many cubes you would need to use to build that prism. And we're going to see my crazy funky screen when I go back to the chat box, but that's okay. I feel like there's a little bit of a delay with the chat. How many cubes does it take to build a rectangular prism with 8 units for its volume? That's okay, we're answering the question, how many cubes will it take to build a rectangular prism with a volume of 8? If you could type that in the chat box, hopefully Tom, Steven, or Matt, one of you can hear me. 8 cubes, you've got it. Tom or Steven, are you still there? Awesome. Awesome, there we go. I just wanted to wait a little bit longer to make sure everyone was still here. I know we've been having some connection issues. So I'm going to go back to the slideshow. And what I want you to do, I'm going to break you into groups. One of you will be by yourself today. Normally there will be more people here, so you'd be in other groups. And in those breakout groups, I want you to complete the first task. And the first task is to build that prism. And you're going to fill in your slide that's marked with group 1 or group 2. There will be 2 groups. So I'm going to tell you what your groups are. Give me just 1 second. Break you out into your groups quickly. It looks like Matt and Tom are going to be in group 1 and Stephen is going to be in group 2. So I'm only going to give you about a minute or so to build that prism and then type your answers in the Google slide sheet. If you have any questions, just type them in the chat. So go ahead, I'm breaking you out into your breakout groups. Hi Tom and Matt, just checking in, seeing how it's going building your cube, your prism, as I should say. Do either of your mics work at the moment that you could maybe explain to me what you're doing? You can use the chat box or the mic. I know you're probably busy filling out your slideshow.
Hello?
Hi, Tom.
Oh, hey, you can hear me. We're making a prism that is 2 blocks wide, 1 block long, and 4 blocks tall.
Awesome.
Or cubes, I mean.
Cubes, good. Awesome. So 4 wide. Great. So when you're filling out the slideshow, what is the area of the base? How many cubes do you have on your base?
It should be 2. Right?
2? Okay. What did you say the dimensions were again?
Yep. It is 2 by 1 by 4.
Yes, then it should be 2 on the bottom. Great. I was just checking in. You may continue working quickly, filling out your slide, and we're going to share that if you don't mind.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Thank you, Matt, for typing done in the chat box. Tom and Stephen, if you could also type done in the chat box to let me know you're finished with that slide, we'll move on.
I cannot hear you. If you can type in done.
Oh, no. Just waiting on one more. I'm going to stop the breakout groups. All right, we're going to stop there. I think we're having a little issues with some of the members of the group. So when we come back, there you are, Stephen. Awesome. And there's why mine hasn't been working before. If you haven't noticed, remember we've done this several times. The recording stops when we join breakout groups. What we're going to do is move through the slideshow. If one of you would like to raise your hand to share what you typed in your slide, that would be awesome. Matt, let's go with you. Go ahead, Matt. You could share what's on your slide. You are in group 1. Okay, we'll use the chat box. Your prism was 2 cubes wide by 1 cube long and 4 cubes high. And in our group, Matt and Tom, actually it was Tom, shared with me that their area of their base was, they had 2 cubes on their base. So if you take a look at your slideshows, what could we do with the area of the base and the number of layers to figure out the volume? Go ahead and type that in the chat box, please. What could we do with those two numbers to find the volume? Awesome. You multiplied the area of your base by the number of layers. Hopefully Tom and Steven are still out there. I don't want to lose you guys. And the same thing goes for the length, the width, and the height. We could have multiplied those three numbers to also get an area of 8 cubic units. And cubic units aren't something that we've talked about yet. Cubic units are the units that we use to measure volume. Sometimes if they don't give us the units, we use cubic units. If they give us inches, it would be cubic inches, and so on. Back to our slideshow, I'm going to share my screen again. And what I want to talk about, and we're going to do this together, is moving on to the next slide. We are at practice problem number 1. I want you to, if you can, in the chat box, type how many cubes did you count for the length? How many cubes did you count for the width? Sorry, the width is here. And how many cubes did you count for the height? If you could type that, you could type L equals however many cubes, W equals how many cubes, and H equals how many cubes. Ooh, crazy screen again. Give you a couple seconds. Tom, that looks awesome. There you go, Matt. And so we had a length of 5 cubes, and you didn't get tricked by that crazy hidden cube in the back there. We had a length of 5, a width of 8, and a height of 4. All right, Stephen, maybe you're looking at the formula there. Take a look at what Matt and Tom wrote. And what could we do with those three numbers to find the total volume? We said multiply. So if you could go ahead and use your calculators to multiply to find the volume of this rectangular prism, I would appreciate that. And the first person to start typing can actually type it into the slideshow itself. We're on slide 9 in case you've lost your place. Awesome job, Tom. I love what you typed in there. The only thing I'm going to add are the units. And since I just introduced those, and we're going to explore those a little bit further, we would type cubic units because we don't know exactly what the units are. So we just have cubic units. And you type the formula up there on that line, which is awesome. The next practice problem. I see something in the chat. Great job, Matt. The next practice problem is going to be where we count how many cubes are on the base layer and multiply that by the height. So this is our other formula, the area of the base, and we're going to multiply that by the height. If someone could type that into the slide, I would appreciate it. All right, great job, Tom. You definitely got that one again. It would be 80 cubic units. So while we are going to be wrapping up, today's lesson is going to be shorter than normal, of course. There are practice problems we'll pick up on tomorrow. Before